On the Alternative Stories and Fake Realities podcast today, we are speaking to Emily Inkpen. Emily, hello.
Hello. Hi.
It's great to have you back on the podcast. Well, you're on the podcast a lot, actually, aren't you?
I am.
Because
Yeah, I
either
get I get
acting
about.
or yeah, acting or directing. I suppose you're not technically on it if you're directing, but your influence is there.
Absolutely. Yep, yep.
Yeah,
My fingerprint. Yes.
and so you are a novelist, a short story writer, an audio drama writer, a director, a voice actor, one of the co-hosts of the Writers Gym podcast, which we make, author of the award-winning and globally successful sci-fi drama The Dex Legacy, and creative director of Alternative Stories. So
I feel a bit
welcome.
like
That
Daenerys Targaryen being, all of my
Mother of
titles
Dragons.
being
I didn't mention
read
Mother of
off.
Dragons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Breaker of Chains. Yeah, exactly. The Unburnt.
yeah. So all of those things. I mean, how do you find time in your day to do other stuff?
I don't.
You don't. Okay.
What other stuff? What other stuff?
Well, sleeping,
Like breathing?
breathing, eating.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a multitasker when it comes to those things.
Yes.
Yep. Breathing.
Excellent.
I can do cheering. It's
Yes.
amazing.
We should say as well, anyone watching this, the video of this, you are in a very special cubby hole today, aren't you? Can you tell us about the
Yes.
cubby hole in which you are standing?
Oh, this is the first interview I'm doing from my new recording booth, which I have just finished building under my stairs, which is very exciting because previously to this, I was working under duvet fort, which was not good on the back or any other things really. It was just not a very sustainable option. And
Yes.
now I've completely converted my understairs cupboard. I boxed in all of the sort of utility area, like utility bits and pipes, and I've got panels over them that are all carpeted and have soundproof foam on them. And I've basically made it into its own little room, but
Mm.
all of the stuff that was in the understairs is still here. It's just behind these panels, so it's very neat, and I'm very proud of myself.
So, and I should have added carpenter and interior designer to your list of credits there, shouldn't I?
Oh well, no, that's just me like doing DIY and things is kind of like therapy. I like building things with my hands every now and
Mm.
again. Some people bake. I cannot bake. I am a disaster. But I can carpet walls apparently, and
Yeah,
yeah,
and put
make recording booths.
and put foam on them, which and it
Put foam on things. Yeah.
and it's a lovely little cubby hole, and all
Ooh.
people should have them. And I'm really glad that you're not going to be sort of kneeling or crouching under that duvet fort anymore when you record your bits
Oh,
for the Dex Legacy.
it was not good on the knees. It
No,
was not good on the knees at all. Um, yeah. So,
anyway,
and I get to have a nicer microphone here as well
indeed,
because,
indeed.
I'm not carting it around and having to hold a duvet up over it. It just wouldn't work very well having, a proper
Hmm.
microphone and doing that. It's just terrifying.
Well, the travails of voice acting, we'll come back to that, I'm sure, later.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But I mean, this is not the principal reason why you're here today.
What?
No, we're not just talking about recording booths under stairs. Um, we're talking about a few really exciting things that you're up to, and the first one I think is that you have written season 3 of the Dex Legacy,
Yeah.
and we're now in the middle of a Kickstarter campaign to raise funds to make it, aren't we?
Yes. We launched the Kickstarter yesterday at midday.
Well,
So we're
that's
coming up on
probably
24
last
hours.
week for when this comes out, but
Yeah,
yeah,
but when we're talking, it was yesterday, so we're not quite
yes.
24 hours into it yet. You're going to hear this a week in,
Hmm.
so all being well, it's still going well. But right now, 23 hours in, we are doing
Yes,
pretty well.
yes.
So happy with where we're at right now. But it is a bit terrifying. A lot riding on it because if we can't raise the money, then we can't make season 3. And season 2
Yeah,
did
yeah.
so well, and we won an award, and we got over 240,000 downloads. And the idea of it stopping now is just, mm,
Yeah,
no.
well, especially as the scripts for season 3 are so amazing. I'm not going to give any more away, but But yeah, it would be if anyone listening would like to back the season 3 Kickstarter for the Dex Legacy, um, we will we'll talk a bit more about it shortly, but we will post links so that you can do so in the show notes of this podcast. But I wanted to ask you, Emily, I mean, you've mentioned awards there and lots of downloads. Can you tell us about
Yes.
the award that the Dex Legacy won, please?
Yeah, so we won a BSFA award for Best Audio Drama
So the
2023.
BSFA is the British Science
British
Fiction
Science Fiction
Association.
Association, yes,
Yeah.
British Science Fiction Association. It's a very it's a key award, I think, annual award in sort of literary circles, and I have involvement in the BSFA as an organisation. That in no way means that there's an advantage happening. It's all member voting
Mm.
happening, so um, it's not like any kind of I don't have any control over anything. Some people get funny that if people on the BSFA board do well at things, it's like, oh, you're it's all right for you, you're on the board. And it's like, well, I mean, me and a lot of very accomplished writers actually, and
Yeah.
it's like our vice president is Tade Thompson, and he's won the BSFA before, BSFA award before, and you know,
Well, and it's, I mean, it's really, I mean, you must feel that that is kind of recognition for
yeah,
you. I mean, particularly as an audio drama writer, because I mean, it's fair to say you're not. That's not where you started. You're a novelist and short story writer, aren't you?
yeah. By default, yes. The audio drama came later. Uh, by at your invitation, actually, you're the one who started all of this nonsense. You are the one
Apologies for
who
that. Yes.
you're the one who started this. Yeah. So I wrote the novel The Blood Road, and then you invited me to write a single episode for Alternative Stories and Fake Realities, which I duly did, and then it did pretty well. And then we ended up on a sort of meandering path, making all of season 1, and then season 2 was far more on purpose. So it's almost like the Dex Legacy as a series crept up on me, and now the audio drama is sort of I'm starting to see myself more as a sort of writer of audio drama and novels almost on an equal footing,
Mm.
which is really new for me. And yeah, it's an interesting place to be, because like naturally, I mean, novels, when I'm relaxed, I writing scripts and writing novels, they're a different process. I
Mm.
would say that when I'm writing prose, I'm relaxed and that is my happy space. But sometimes when I'm writing scripts, you get into writing dialogue and it does just flow.
Mm.
And that in itself is a therapeutic kind of creative sort of scratch
Yeah. Yeah.
on its own. It's different, but yeah,
And I think one of the things, I mean, I've written a few scripts myself, not
yeah,
in anything like the level of yours, but
yeah.
he said modestly. But
Honestly,
there is
yeah.
that thing about there is a stage between the person experiencing those scripts, between you
Yes,
and the person experiencing the scripts, and that is the stage that we do the recording. The actors get
yes.
involved, so your words are actually delivered through this kind of third party, aren't they? Through the actors. So
Oh, and also through the ears of the listener, which is
yeah.
another level of removal. Because the listener in audio drama is a vital part of the collaborative process,
Mm.
an active component in a way that when you're reading, it's not quite as demanding, because weirdly, when you're listening, you do have to visualize. When you're reading, some people read books and enjoy them without visualizing anything, and that's something
Mm.
that I'm trying to wrap my head around right now. When I'm reading, it's like a cinematic experience. When other people read, sometimes it is just the words on the page, but people get enjoyment from that. When people are listening, it's much more of a visual experience in the brain,
Yeah, yeah.
from what I've heard. And that is interesting, and that means that anyone who listens is playing an active part in it.
And what
Yeah.
we try to do, we try to make it as immersive and believable as
Mm,
possible. So that
yeah.
comes down to the performances of the actors, obviously. I mean, the scripts initially, but the performances of the actors. We'll talk
Yep.
about directing in a minute because you do that as well. The sound design needs to make you feel that you are believably in that place where you're hearing those voices.
Hmm.
But also using things like we're both wearing headphones today. We understand that most people listening to audio drama will do so on headphones,
Yep.
or certainly in stereo. And there'll be lots of people listen while walking the dog or doing something like that on headphones. So we do a lot of work to make it immersive by using the stereo field as well. And I think the
Yeah.
more we do that way, the more we get that kind of buy-in, as it were, that immersion from our listeners. So I think that's a really good point, actually.
I think it's vital when you're writing audio drama. Is something that I definitely got better at, is being able to sort of direct sound, or like put notes in the script where sounds need to happen that help with the world building.
Mm,
When you're writing a novel, obviously it's all on you, and it's all on the words on the page. And one of the things that I always come back to again and again for people who are moving from writing novels to writing audio is that when you're writing a novel, what you're writing on the page is the end product. That is what's going to be read and consumed.
mm,
When you're writing a script, it is foundation. Everything else builds on top of it.
yes.
So the script that you make has to be a foundation for all of those people who are going to contribute to the the project.
Mm,
And so the directions need to be for sound design, they need to be for performance, and they need to be in different places in the script. There's a very I have come up with my own way of sort of laying out audio scripts in a way that makes it very in studio friendly.
mm,
Uh, and when I look at sort of movie scripts, I'm like, okay, well, I wouldn't do this for an audio script because I know that the way it's being performed is different. And that method calls for a slightly different layout or slightly different way of presenting the information. Um, and so yeah, like the script has to have sort of sections of direction. And I remember when we were first working on the first season, my directions were very limited. They were pretty bare. I was just thinking, well, Chris has got this. Chris is really, really good at what he does. He'll just, fill in the blanks and do all of this. It's since then that I've realized that actually giving more information, slightly more information, gives you more support in your
mm.
role and makes your job easier than me just being like,
Well,
okay, yeah,
thank you.
it's a spaceship, go.
Yeah. Well, I remember one of the sound directions was a description of what you wanted to hear, and then a few
Hmm.
dots, and it said "Good luck, Chris."
Yeah,
Um, so, I think
that hasn't stopped, to be fair.
no, there's still quite an element of that, isn't there? But yeah,
Yep.
and I mean, if you want to read more about that sort of thing, our we have a book, don't we? What, you
Yes.
have a book. I think I'm listed
Well,
as a collaborator on there,
you're a
but it's
collaborator, yeah, because you wrote bits of it. Yeah, yeah.
well, okay,
Contributed.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
collaborated on the event described, but
Absolutely.
it's the collected scripts and commentary for the first
Hmm.
season of the Dex Legacy, and we
Yep.
give it a subtitle. The subtitle is "How Not to Make an Audio Drama," because
Yeah,
it
that
was
one's not on the cover, but yes, that
no,
is yep,
but
the
it
unofficial
was
subtitle.
our learning process, kind of played out in a book. So you get all the scripts, as you will hear them on if you listen to that series, but you also get the things that went wrong in the
Oh
recording
yeah.
and all sorts of other stuff.
And
So
the deadlines, because we were recording and releasing on the go. And so the times when we were approaching a deadline and mixing on a full episode was taking longer, so we had to write and produce an interlude to meet a release deadline. And then that had a knock-on effect and introduced a character that was
mm,
accidentally great, and all of these things that I mean, I always say that season one was an accident and a miracle. um
yes,
yeah, like
in not necessarily in that order actually.
No, no.
But yeah, but we did it, and we I think our friendship strengthened considerably in that adversity, and
I think it was
we
make or break, wasn't it?
yeah, I
It
think so.
was,
Yeah,
yeah,
we could have
yeah.
gone horribly wrong at that point,
It
couldn't
got
it?
so wrong.
Never want to see you ever again.
Like, just, I mean, to be fair, like looking back on season one, I do still get anxiety about
Yeah,
that
yeah.
whole process because, oh my God, I just lived in fear for 3 months.
Yes, well,
Just,
anyway,
yeah,
but we moved on. Lot
we did.
and
We did. We came out
miraculously,
stronger.
lots of people liked it, and we were able
Did?
to make season two. We did a Kickstarter for season two. We made season two in the studio, and this is where you came into your own. I mentioned directing.
Yeah, yeah,
You came into your
yeah.
own as a director, and we sort of co-direct the Dex Legacy. But you know, as the writer, you are uniquely positioned to direct, aren't you? You know more about the characters, you know more about the story than anyone else. So why
Yeah,
wouldn't you be directing if you could? So can you tell me a little bit about the process of directing and how you've
sure.
come to take that mantle on as well?
Oh, well, really, I mean, I guess I could joke about it being a control thing because the audio drama is a big prequel to my trilogy of novels. So I've got quite a lot of riding on continuity. And the characters are walking a timeline that is sort of as a destination in mind. So when it comes to decisions in performance and emphasis on certain scenes, I know that this scene may seem quite throwaway in this moment, but it's going to have significant sort of ramifications much further down in the story timeline.
Mm,
So when it comes to directing, obviously, then I want things to be a certain way. Um,
yes.
and but at the same time I know that it's about support, again, with the script supporting people at every stage. I've done a bit of acting before. Directing is about supporting the actor to get the best performance for the piece that you're working on,
Mm,
and providing the actor with a kind of anchor point,
yeah.
I think, which is incredibly important, especially when you're working in a world that is unfamiliar. So my world is entirely in my own head. Now it's so vivid in my head that I could like walk around in it, and I could give you a guided tour of the cities in my world. Like, they are very, very vivid. But that's in my head.
Mm,
Nobody
yes.
else is in my head.
Mm,
So I have to be there to sort of try and explain these things and try and get the key information across. And so I guess my approach to directing in the studio was very much a sort of adding context, adding, like, answering questions,
mm,
providing context, making sure there was continuity in pronunciations and things, but also
yes.
making sure the characters were embedded in where they are. And sometimes the actors would sort of say, "Oh yeah, but wouldn't they be feeling this, and this?" And I would say really useful things like, yeah, they that will come up, but that's probably something that would happen around season 6." And it would be
And
like,
there's this
"Oh,
stunned
okay."
silence, and it's like, okay, we're recording season two, and she knows what's going to be happening in season six.
Yeah, roughly.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, there is that. I mean, like in terms of sort of timeline, obviously we don't know if we're going to be able to make season 6.
Well,
That is
we
going
should probably concentrate on season three at this point.
Let's work on season 3 first, and we'll see
Yeah,
how we're going. Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, we've got some work to do before that. But because it's a prequel and I know where the books start,
Mm,
I have this definite sort of end point in mind for the audio drama, this end
yeah,
point that
yeah.
we're going to get to before it ends, and then the books pick up. And that sort of keeps you on a path. And that means that character development wise, it actually takes a load off, because you're not thinking, I've got to get all the character development in the world into this one like season. It's like,
Yes.
no, I know that they're not going to be at that point emotionally for the next 6 years.
Mm,
You know, that's this is a slow burn. These kids are 15. They're not, they're like, the seasons 1 and season one spanned like 3 months. Season two spanned a week.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not a long time for
And season three is
huge,
going to be similarly compressed as a
Oh, season three is
chronology,
even
isn't it?
less. I think
Yeah,
season
yeah,
three is like 5 days.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Mm.
so
Well,
things are getting tighter.
yeah, definitely. One thing, I mean, just going back to directing, I think one thing that you do particularly well, and we in the studio we're sort of sitting next to each other with scripts on our laps and
Yes. Yeah.
scribbly pens, and with our amazing sound technician Richard Campbell, who runs
Yep.
Orpheus Studio and is the producer of the of Red Valley. Um,
Yep.
so we're there, and so much of the time I'm sort of just letting you speak, so we can speak to the actors in the studio through an intercom, so they
Yep.
can hear what we're saying. And at the end, at the beginning of every scene, and often we have to record in non-chronological order, so the actors aren't following the story through; they're doing scenes dotted from episode to episode. You do this lovely thing where you just describe where they are, both emotionally, physically, and you talk about pronunciations, and you've got a way
Mm.
of doing that so concisely. I think it's just amazing to work with, and I'm just sitting there thinking, well, have they pronounced that word correctly, or have we got a good take of them saying that? So yeah,
Oh,
it's a kind
thank
of
you.
creative partnership that really begins in the studio and goes from there, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And you've got your technical ear and everything out as well. And it's really important to, I mean, I know that I would second guess myself in a studio as a director, if I was on my own. And I would probably get something, I think I would be capable of getting something okay, but I would be less secure. And I think you and I work well together when we sort of look at each other and it's like, yeah, that's good. Okay,
Yeah.
right, moving on. And it speeds things up because you could get into a place where you're like, I'm not sure, maybe we'll give it another go.
Mm.
And it's like, no, 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 you don't need to. You got that in two. You do not
Yeah.
need to do a
Yeah. Yeah.
third or a fourth. And that means time. That means efficiency
Well,
in the
yeah.
studio, which is money. And yeah.
That's the segue I was looking for, because back to the fundraiser.
Mm,
Um, so it's fair to say, I think, that we are asking, well, we're definitely asking for a little bit more money than we asked for our season 2 Kickstarter.
yep.
Um, but and I just want to get an idea really of what sort of expenses are there in making audio drama. I mean, what do we have to pay to bring this thing to life?
Oh gosh, well, I mean, it starts with studio costs, obviously, actors paying them their day rate, because
Mm,
as soon as you're bringing people into the studio, you're not paying by word, you're paying by day
yeah,
for their time. So you can do a lot in a studio setting in a day, but you are paying a day rate as opposed to a, by the hour for what they're
yeah,
producing for
yeah,
you.
yeah,
So it is a chunk of money up front. And that means that average day in the studio is going to be about over like potentially £1,200
yeah.
more
Somewhere, I mean, depending on how many
easily.
actors you've got in, but somewhere
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
between £850 and
And
£1,200.
£1,200,
So
yeah.
it's like being in a taxi and
Yeah.
watching the clock ticking. I mean, you can't think of it like that because it would just drive you mad, and you'd be very stressed out. But it is a bit like that, isn't it? So
Yeah.
we are both. It's the point where we're being both artistic because we want the best
Yep.
performance, but also business people,
Pragmatic.
which we probably it probably isn't our biggest forte, is it? The business side of it. But yeah,
No, but at the same time, like we are very mindful in the studio. We're getting a bit of a reputation for being quite fast and
fast and loose,
far, well, no, not
not
loose,
loose.
that's the thing. We record a lot, and we know that we follow people like Audible in that respect. Audible, when they make audio dramas, will do a scene in 2 takes
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then move on, and we follow that model very much. If we think that it definitely needs it, we'll do a third take, but most of the time we try to cut it at two. And that means that we are moving on at a pace when we're in
mm,
the studio. And I mean, like, a lot of people will do 3 takes minimum, 4 takes if they need it, maybe more if they think that it could benefit, and it's much more chill. Whereas I think us as a pairing, we do quite a lot of pre-work before we go into the studio.
And that's the key, isn't it? Yeah.
Absolutely. It makes things so much faster. We know exactly what scenes we're doing, in what order. We know what needs to be done in the morning versus the afternoon, which is especially useful if we've got actors coming in just for the afternoon
Yeah.
versus for the whole day, which also keeps costs down, because if you've got actors there that are just waiting around, time is money. You're paying them to be sitting there doing nothing. So if you can schedule your time in the studio so that you've got actors coming in just in the morning and just in the afternoon, but then again, organization wise, that means that you need to know exactly what scenes you have to get done in the AM
Mm.
and what scenes need to be done in the PM. And that requires organization, it requires forethought, it requires estimation of how much time it will take to do these things. It requires a certain amount of, these are the scenes that we must get done, these are the scenes that we could do on a mop-up day or remotely
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
necessary.
Mm.
And so having a sort of like, if we get everything done in 2 takes, we'll get all of it done. If we have to do 3 takes on some of these, which are more meaty scenes, we might need to pick up some things later. But getting the essentials down, and knowing exactly what those essentials are, knowing where people need to be, what booths people need to be in, and when. Doing musical chairs, or as I call it, musical booths, where
Yeah.
you've got, we've got in Orpheus Studio, there's 2 isolated booths in a main room. You do not want your actors to be moving around between booths and main room
Mm.
too much, because that means going in and resetting the microphone and getting the height and everything right. All of that is time. So if you can say, okay, Kelsey, you are in the right hand booth,
And
Charlie,
wherever
you're in the
possible,
left
you'll
hand
be in that booth
room,
all
like,
day.
yeah, and then Cam, you're in the middle room,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is the setup I think that we had for season 2.
Mm.
That is where you're going to be for the next 2 days. Instantly you're saving time,
Yeah.
but you need to have that down, you need to know that in advance.
Mm.
Yeah.
No, it's so true, and yeah, even that. I mean, this is one of the things that we found. Even that process of just changing the height on a microphone, because
Oh yeah.
you're moving from a 5'5" actor to a 6'5" actor.
Yeah, sometimes
Takes
genuinely
2 minutes,
the
but if
case.
you're having to do that for every scene you record, that's half an hour out of your day, and that's money. That's money. So yeah,
And
I
that's
remember that we're
potentially how
talking.
many scenes? I mean,
Yeah,
that could
and
be 3 scenes.
yeah,
Yeah.
talking of planning, I remember that day round your kitchen table in Reading, planning season 2, with just paper all over the table, different coloured
Yep.
pens, a screen with various things on. Your very
Yep.
lovely spouse Danny coming in and out and going, "What the hell are you doing?" And it was just a chaotic day, but it all paid off, didn't it? Because
Oh
of
yeah.
and that precision is something that we've carried on, I think.
And we've worked on it as well, because season 2 was our first in studio directing experience. But since then we've done other productions. And in the last year, I think you and I as a team in studio and preparing to go into the studio have improved a lot, in our estimations and our sort of, in what we're able to achieve.
Mm.
And so yeah, I
There
think,
there is still a
yeah.
bit of a I'm slightly optimistic and you're slightly pessimistic vibe going on, but that probably levels things out a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, you're the time optimist.
Yeah.
I'm the time double it and add half.
Mhm.
Whatever you call that, very much a pessimist. And then somewhere in between we
The,
collide,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you know
The glass is just about level rather than half full or
Yep,
overflowing in
absolutely.
my
Yep.
case. Yeah. So just a final word then about the Dex Legacy season 3. If people are thinking of backing the Kickstarter, what sort of things can they expect from season 3 if we get to make it?
Ooh,
Without
ooh.
giving away too much. I mean, it's
Oh, without giving away too much, that's a
more.
hard
I
one.
mean, so we follow on straight from the cliffhanger in season 2, don't we?
Yes.
But
Yes.
I'm not gonna say anything more than that. Compressed timeline.
Yes, compressed timeline. It's not what you expect
It's not.
necessarily. I think is
That's good.
there's
New characters.
new characters, yes.
Hmm.
Um, a couple of very fun new characters who I think you're going to love, and I think it's going to be a completely different kind of experience. It's an unexpected outcome to the drama at the end of season two, and it plays out in what I hope is an unexpected way. And then, just as you think things are sort of drawing to a conclusion, a whole nother set of unexpected dramas unfold.
Mm.
So it's almost like a layered up effect that we're going for in season three. Very high energy, like doesn't really let up much. And yeah, unexpected
Mm.
is what I'm
Well,
hoping
I
for.
mean, I will just say without any spoilers, I read the scripts. I read one of the scripts on a train, and I couldn't react in the way that I wanted to because I was on a train and there were other passengers, and it wouldn't have been fair for me to run up and down the train shouting "goodness me" or something
Oh
like
yes,
that.
goodness me. That's
Goodness
that's
me would have
exactly what
been
you
my
would have been.
reaction.
Yep.
It
Hmm.
may not have rhymed with goodness me, but yes, that was my reaction. So the scripts are amazing, and we really hope we get to make this. And if you have ever listened to the Dex Legacy and enjoyed it, we would love it if you would donate to our Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah,
And
please do.
so you can find it by going on to Kickstarter.com and searching for the Dex Legacy. But
Yep.
obviously, we will also put a link in our show notes for the podcast, or if you're watching this video, there will be a link
In the
down there
description.
somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you can back it, then please do. More award-winning, hopefully, audio drama from Emily Inkpen and our amazing cast.
Yeah.
Now, talking of audio drama, um, we are also about to kind of launch into the world a teaser for a new drama. Emily,
Yes.
what you have been busy? What the hell is going on?
Okay, so the new one is a spin-off series called The Dex Legacy Wasteland. It starts episode one, The Bomb, starts on the same day as The Dex Legacy starts with episode one, season one, The Bomb. So we are running alongside The Dex Legacy, I guess, in timeline. Very different settings, completely different cast
A
of
different
characters,
nation.
a
So
different nation.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
but still in the same world, and
yeah.
we're seeing the aftermath and the fallout of events that we heard about from a Dex perspective, but as they were felt in another nation on your planet.
Exactly, and it's a very different feel. The way I sort of have realized, the way I realized I was writing this is that Dex Island are the baddies. They are not very nice people. I mean, Varian, Isra, and Ren are doing their best in a terrible situation, but
Hmm.
Dex Island on the world stage are definitely the antagonists. They are not a nice nation to be associated with. In Wasteland, we're with the Xenosi and we are with their military and the fallout of the bomb that was made by Dex Island but launched by their government. It's a point of political turmoil. The main characters are mech pilots. So they're
Mm.
driving these massive mech rigs, and it's a tightly political military series that deals with that whole event from a completely different angle. And these people are good people. Generally speaking, they are good people. I'm writing goodies. I'm used to writing baddies, and that is so new for me. I was like, I'm like, okay, I'm writing people, and everyone was like, oh yeah, what's their sort of, what are their, their bad points? What are the bad points of this character? And I'm like, well, they're just nice,
They're
really.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just very
they love
unlike
their
you,
mum.
really.
No,
Yeah.
they're good. They came from a pretty ordinary background, but went into the
Yeah.
military and for the best reasons. And
And I think, I mean, we've just got some great characters,
oh
and
yeah,
So the one I think everyone is going to really really love is Sarah Sachs, Captain Sarah Sachs,
Oh,
who
I love
is
her.
a mech pilot. I won't say too much, but can you say a little bit about who's going to be playing Sarah
Oh,
Sachs?
the amazing Mary Claire Wood is going to be voicing Sarah Sachs. You've heard her in other alternative stories productions. She's a
Mm,
fantastic actress. I basically I wanted to get her involved in some capacity in Dex, and then thinking about Wasteland, I realized who I knew that I wanted her to play the main character from the beginning, from the outset of the writing process. So, and thankfully she said yes. That would have
which
been
wasn't a
unfortunate.
given. It wasn't a
No.
given because a couple of days before she said yes, I actually saw her in a film acting alongside Sir Anthony Hopkins. So
Yeah.
it's fair to say that she is quite a big player in
Yeah,
in the
yeah. And
acting
she's
world.
she's just so talented. Like in the read-throughs and everything, I was just like chills. The delivery is just so precise
Mm,
and so well thought out and so just accomplished. And honestly, I cannot speak highly enough of her talent. She's amazing. And so getting to work with her, getting a character that was worthy of her in terms of complexity and sort of role, it's just been a huge privilege. And we're working with a really really great cast, and
mm,
it's it's they have to be different to the Dex Legacy. We can't use the same actors because it's the same universe. So
yeah,
if you
yeah,
heard the same character voices on Dex Island, and then you're like, okay, but this character is also in a completely different country at the same time,
yes,
that doesn't work.
exactly.
So we've got this vast sort of set of characters for the Dex Legacy universe, and none of them can cross over.
Mm. Because they
So
may meet at some point. Uh,
exactly, yeah, and
yeah,
that would be awkward. So yeah, so we've got an amazing cast. We've got John Glover, who is an absolute legend. He was in the original Hitchhikers movie. I was personally very excited to see that he voiced things for Animals of Farthing Wood, which was a
yes.
key
For
part of my childhood and
for those of
upbringing.
a certain
Um,
age who remember the Harry Enfield TV show, John played Mr. Chumley Warner in
mm,
that, and
yep,
just absolute doyen of British voice actors. Um,
yep,
done lots and lots of stage and screen stuff.
yep,
We also have Sarah Golding. I mean, the
yep.
brilliant Sarah Golding, who has also
Oh,
been in a few alternative stories dramas, but is more famous for being in pretty much absolutely everything in the world of
yep.
independent audio drama. I think it's fair to
And
say.
again, a voice that I really wanted to work with.
Mm,
I really, really wanted to work with her on a project, and then writing the role of General Zarakan, she just brings that energy and that texture to the part and nails it absolutely perfectly.
mm,
Um, she's
yeah,
amazing. She can do anything. Um,
and
yeah.
some other name. I mean, Karen Cromfley, a big
Oh,
big name, has done.
again, someone I really wanted to work with. I'm
Yeah,
basically ticking off. This is
I
like my
know.
my voice wish list. Is in Wasteland.
Mm.
We've also got Ethan Reed,
Ethan Reed.
who
I mean, say a little bit about Ethan Reed and where he's from.
oh well, he's an amazing voice actor. He's got this voice that like you just don't really know what to do with. It's incredibly deep, and it just resonates at a frequency.
That okay?
And
Stop.
he see,
This is
you're
a
making this weird. I'm
this is
just trying to
this
describe
is a
it.
family show.
People when that you hear the voice, it's just a different level. Anyway, he was recently in Baldur's Gate 3. He was the male Dreamwalker, the voice of that character. So quite a prominent role for anybody who chose the male version of the Guardian. That was him.
Mm,
And he's also a main character in one of our other dramas that we're probably going to talk about in a little bit,
we are.
called Burnout. He's just great, and his delivery is fantastic, and he's a really creative person. So he brings a lot to a character, and I think politically, I mean, his character is a political
Is a
character.
politician? Yeah.
Is a politician, yeah, and I think he aligns, or he at least gets him as a political character quite well. So yeah, it was an absolute pleasure to work with him in that role.
Mm.
And another one is David Monteith as well, who's
Yeah,
another voice I
yeah,
really
yeah.
wanted to work with. And he's playing the new Prime Minister, Rosette. And all of this, I mean, David's not in it until he's in bits of the main series, but we've got a standalone episode of season 1. It's called the International Confederation. This is on the Dex
This is
Legacy
the one
side.
that's going to be a complete secret, and they won't know what going to tell anyone about.
Oh, was that the case?
No,
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 I
I'm
didn't think
joking.
that was going to be a secret. Oh God, don't do that to me.
Oh, I'm
That is
sorry. I'm
totally
sorry.
a me kind of thing to do as well. You can't wind me
Give
up like
stuff
that.
away. Normally you've had a drink or two before when you start giving
Normally it
stuff
takes me
away.
at least 2 pints before I
Yeah,
start just
yeah.
spilling all of the, secret information. No, so we've got the International Confederation. If you've listened to the Dex Legacy, you might be familiar with this episode. In that episode, Nathaniel Dex is standing trial for the atrocities that happened in episode 1, the bomb.
Mm.
So we have an interlude, an episode for Wasteland called the International Confederation. It's the same event from a different perspective.
Mm.
And that is when David's character, Minister Rosette, he's just taken power in Xenos. The political situation is turning, and he plays a key role, and that foreshadows what would potentially come next if we do more of Wasteland, which I very much hope we do.
I very much hope we do as well. And I'm also going to just shout out Sophie McNair, who I think
yes.
people are going to absolutely love Sophie because she's so. Yeah, we often talk about characters being co-creations of the writer and the actor.
Yeah.
And Sophie is a great example of that in her character, Vorsi or Vorsinza, who is a mech pilot. And I'm not going to say any more, but I just think you're going to love Sophie McNair.
And George Stagnall as well.
Stagnall, our
Absolute
other
treasure.
yeah.
What a voice and what a talent. And just has this presence that is so just lovely. And he plays a medic, and you really get it. Like when he's doing his medic bits, it's like, yeah, I would trust you.
Yeah.
With my guts hanging out, I would trust you in that moment to keep me alive. Well, like this is so weird, but like he has that kind of presence in voice. It's just he's perfect.
Yeah. So anyway, more about Wasteland soon. There's a little prologue, a teaser, in which you can also hear the voice of Nick Lamont and
yes.
Alex White, who is Kit from the Dex Legacy. I mean, playing Kit. So Kit is a character in.
Yes.
Anyway,
very briefly.
It will all fall into place, possibly, but
we're very excited about this. You can probably tell we're very excited about this spin-off.
So, and I think we should probably stop talking about it now in case we give something really important away. But you mentioned another drama there, which is forthcoming from Alternative Stories, and that is called Burnout.
Yes.
Now
by Lewis Carter.
Well, you say by Lewis Carter. I mean, it's Lewis's creation.
It is Lewis's creation. Yeah.
He has written most of the scripts, but someone else has written a couple of scripts, haven't they?
I wrote one episode and an interlude. I contributed to it, but it's his baby through and through and his world. And when I did my contributions there, I completely slotted into his tone of voice and his characters and just carried that energy, which he created and communicated so perfectly. These characters are amazing. Burnout is an absolute riot. The days in the studio were just so fun. I cannot wait for people to hear it. Like it was a joy working on it, because sometimes getting outside of your own world is a really good exercise, and it helps you to bring a fresh energy to something, a fresh perspective. And I loved working with Lewis and writing for Burnout, and I loved working for. I acted in it as well.
Well, I was going to talk about your voice acting as well, because you play this amazing character called Jess, don't you? In
Jess,
Burnout.
Yeah.
And well, tell us about Jess. I mean, you wouldn't want to meet Jess in a bar brawl, would you?
Not in a bar brawl, no, but she's pretty reasonable. Like if you pissed her off, I think it would be,
you.
bad news. Well, she'd give you a black eye.
Yeah.
at least. If not, dislocate your shoulder or something for your troubles. She's a very she can handle herself, shall we say.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's a mechanic. She's been raised as within the family of what are called clans, but really are like big mob families. And she was raised in the pit. They have zero gravity racing. It centers around this sort of industry of zero gravity racing and race
Which
cars.
is like the
And
Formula One circuit, but on
yes,
steroids, isn't it?
on steroids, yeah, and clandestine activities happening all as part of this.
Mm.
And the clan leaders are not necessarily the most morally excellent.
There's one called Taj Bran, isn't there? Which is
Yeah,
a particularly unpleasant one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Who
Excellently
plays
voiced
Taj
by
Bran?
you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I do get
yeah.
to play baddies, don't I?
You do get to play baddies. Yeah. Is he as evil as Nathaniel Dex?
In different ways, but I think Nathaniel is evil on a global scale, whereas
Nathaniel is evil on a big scale.
Taj's evil is on a much smaller scale, but probably
Yeah,
more intense and immediate. He has a penchant for punishing his henchmen by chopping off their fingers,
yeah,
for example.
yeah.
So yeah,
Well, he doesn't do it. He gets them to do
he
it
gets them to do
themselves.
it because that's like a test of loyalty as well.
Outsources.
I don't know
Yeah,
what would happen if they didn't do it, but anyway, we'll
that's
find out at some point.
that's management for you, isn't it?
That
He
is
oversees.
management,
Yeah.
yeah, delegation.
Yeah.
um, and so Burnout, we probably will be hearing Burnout in, I would have thought, mid to late November. We'll see on that, but
We have a potential date on that.
hmm,
Ooh,
we
exciting.
we
Yeah,
do, and
I love
again
it so much.
another one we really can't wait to share that with you.
Absolutely.
Now,
Yeah.
now back to you, Emily, and your writing journey,
Yeah.
because with the awards and the nearly 250,000 downloads of the Dex Legacy and your involvement in other stuff comes recognition and upcoming in a week or so, you're going to be the main speaker, the main guest at an event, aren't you?
I am. Yes, I'm guest of honor at
Guest of
a
honor.
yeah, sci-fi literary convention in Shrewsbury.
The Fantasy and Sci-Fi Spotlight.
Yes, at the Nerdy Cafe.
The Nerdy, which is a great name. I want to
It
go
is
and
perfect.
I want to go and drink coffee in the Nerdy Cafe because I am nerdy, and it sounds like a place we
And
should hang
yeah,
out. Actually, all the Dex Legacy cast should hang out at the Nerdy Cafe, shouldn't we?
it does sound like the kind of place that should be a sort of central, a pillar of the community.
We'll all move to Shrewsbury.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hmm.
I'll tell you what it's like once I've never been to Shrewsbury before, but I will be there in an official
I mean,
capacity.
we should.
Uh,
I mean, you're saying Shrewsbury, I'm saying Shrewsbury. I don't know. I mean, you'll have to tell us about that when
oh,
you.
am I being very southern?
No, I honestly
I
don't
might be
know.
being very southern.
Let us know when you get back. But about the event. So you're the guest of honor, as you say, and so the
Yep.
format will be that you'll be on a few panels during the day,
Yes, yeah. So I'm on a panel about games, storytelling in games, so
which is
RPGs
another
and
thing. What you do.
another thing what I do. Yeah, exactly. What I does. So I'm going to be on that panel. I'm also going to be on a panel about world building, sci-fi world building,
Mm,
which obviously I've done a lot of. My planet is a complex and a varied place.
multifaceted
Um,
is the term.
Multifaceted. Well, I've got to have enough countries there that they can invade each other and keep the story going. That's
Yeah,
the thing.
keep the general undercurrent of violence and
Absolutely.
political
If I
unrest
start off with
going.
just one country, who are they going to go to war with?
Absolutely. And some of the other people that are appearing at this event at the Fantasy and Sci-Fi Spotlight, who else
Yes.
have they who else have they got? So one I know is Fraser Armitage,
Yes.
who
Yes.
has been on this podcast, and his drama. This is where this is all a very kind of meta little world, isn't it? Postcards from Another World was written by Fraser and featured Marie Claire and Sarah Golding, who we mentioned as members of the
Yes.
cast of Wasteland.
Yep.
But we've also interviewed Fraser on here about his books as well. So
Fabulous, fabulous. And his script won an award, didn't it? Which is
it did. It won
yeah,
the Pentaprint Audio Fiction Award.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it's a
yeah,
lovely, lovely
award-winning
piece of work. So
writer
definitely check that out.
Fraser
Yeah, if you
Armitage,
can.
and we should say, kind of mutual friend and someone who is a very very lovely person and a
Oh my
very
God, nicest
interesting
person in the
person.
world. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and very talented writer in general. So yes, Frasier is going to be there, and I can't wait to hang out with him some more. We've also got Tim Hardy, who is also a friend as
Yeah.
well, and I can't wait to meet him again. I think we met once briefly at BristolCon, but it would be lovely to see him and hang out. We've got Stephen Arian, we got Alex Bradshaw, Ed Crocker, Emma Adams, Lee Conley, um, more
And quite a lot
besides.
more. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's going to be a great event. It's going to be lovely. Yeah,
And
I can't wait.
Alternative Stories is one of the sponsors of the event as well.
Yes, very
So
recently.
very
Yeah,
recently, yes, we
yeah,
thought
yeah.
that would be a good thing for us to do, because we want to promote
Yeah,
indie sci-fi and fantasy authors, and
yeah,
I think it's really important that events like this link them and also link them to readers. So if you
yeah.
are anywhere near Shrewsbury, which is kind of, if you don't know the UK, then probably you won't be going to the event. But Shrewsbury is kind of on the borders between England and Wales,
Mm.
so sort of left west of England.
On
But
the left, up and
yeah,
on the left.
a lovely town as well.
Yeah,
Shrewsbury,
I can't.
Shrewsbury.
I'm very
But
excited.
so yeah,
Yeah.
and we'll
One of
put a
the things
link.
that
Oh, sorry, Emily. Yeah,
oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say, like, because obviously I'm an audio drama writer, and that's the main reason why I'm going to be there. And one of the things that, as somebody who, does create both audio and novels, for me, writing science fiction, it's a very obvious sort of pairing, audio drama and novels, and the whole space
yeah,
should
yeah.
be interlinked, but it isn't at the moment.
Very
People
rarely.
who
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. And I find that interesting for me because of things like The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, The War of the Worlds, all of those productions that are so
Mm.
so pivotal to the genre. Everyone knows The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Everyone who writes sci-fi knows that, and knows that it was a radio show. The radio show came before the novels.
And the
So
TV
it
show and
was
the
the
film. Yeah,
original format,
yeah.
and the TV show and the film. It was originally for radio. And so the sort of presence of audio drama as an art in the science fiction space is incredibly natural for me, but a lot of people don't get that. And
Mm.
one of my missions, I think, in being a novelist and audio dramatist is to bring audio drama people and novel and literary people together,
Yeah.
and get more overlap in these spaces,
Well,
because it is all sci-fi storytelling. And yeah,
and you've proved that is, well, first of all, possible to do, but then popular
yeah,
when you do it. You can, as a writer, your profile can,
oh yeah,
your profile's gone literally global,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
have 250,000 nearly downloads.
yeah,
Um, you've got a
around the
global
world.
fan base as a writer.
Yeah, and it's wonderful. Like, you can't build that obviously without work, but
Sure.
bringing like coming at a story from different angles with different mediums brings new people into it. And so it is something that I would definitely advocate. I mean, apart from the fact that it's fun as a writer, working in different ways is always fun. Hearing your work brought to life by professional actors is insanely, it's a mind trip of its own.
Yeah.
It's just amazing, and it never gets old. And it's just it helps with everything. I mean, like, in terms of skill, in terms of dialogue, in terms of,
Yeah.
just being able to communicate, in terms of just getting in contact with fans. writing novels is so solitary, and you
Yeah,
can get
yeah,
so in a zone, and you can get so like with the sort of submission process and the rejections and all of the rest of it. I see it as sort of it's like energy. You're putting energy out and out and out the whole time. You're putting energy into your work, you're putting energy into submissions, you're not getting anything back because what you get is rejections. Then you have to find more energy. Whereas when you've got something out there and you've got people engaging in it and people reacting positively to it, you are getting
mm,
energy back. It
yes,
fills up your energy battery again.
yeah,
And honestly, doing the audio drama and having that audience and building that audience has kept me going. In a way that I think I would be in a very cynical place right now if
yeah.
I was just trying to get the books out
Well,
into the world.
and another thing I would say, I mean, for writers, if you have any ambitions at all about getting into the world of script writing,
Mm-hmm.
for film, screenwriting, TV, or stage, actually, audio
Yeah.
drama is a fantastic kind of sandpit, isn't it, to test your skills. I mean, first of all, it's the cheapest way of getting a script into professional production.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't seem cheap when we're at the start of a Kickstarter, but it really is. And
Yeah.
for what we,
Global on a global scale. I mean, when you
yeah,
think about
yeah.
the thousands and thousands it takes to make a film, like hundreds of
And
thousands
what
that
it
it takes.
costs us to make 15 episodes for a series of the Dex Legacy would
Yeah.
probably buy about 20 minutes of film, if that.
If that.
Yeah,
If
not
that.
even not even
Yeah.
that,
Not
actually.
even. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just a great thing. So if you want to hear more about that world
Mm-hmm.
of you know working in audio drama, but coming from a literary or a novel writing background,
Yep.
the Nerdy Cafe in Shrewsbury, twenty
Yep.
ninth of September. I think it's an all day event, isn't it? Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Afternoon.
it's
I think. Yeah.
it's called the
Afternoon
Fantasy
and
and
evening.
Sci-Fi Spotlight, and Emily Inkpen, the fantastic Emily Inkpen, is going to be guest speaker at that event. We will put
Yes.
links so that you can find out more where we usually put links. Now,
Yep.
Emily, also with writers in mind, writing and writers in mind, we
Yep.
have a new season of the Writers Gym podcast coming very
We
soon.
do.
And
Yes.
if people haven't heard the Writers Gym, what is it, and what's your role in it?
So I'm co-presenter alongside Dr. Rachel Knightley and yourself. You always sort of
I'm kind of the referee, the
you are the
adjudicator.
referee. Yeah, you try and keep us in line and keep us on topic. Yeah, we are a bit of a duo in terms of presenting, and what we do is we have a subject of interest every week, and we discuss it. And
Mm,
we also end each episode on a writing challenge
yeah,
or
yeah.
exercise as set by Rachel. So uh, everyone who's listening to it, really, it's supposed to be it's friendly, it's informal, it's a point of sanity if you are writing and you want to just you want to learn something, you want to start thinking about something in a different way, but you
Mm,
also don't want to feel like you're doing things wrong
yeah.
and everything. Because, like, let's face it, there is no right way to do this at
Mm,
all. And we're the first ones to admit it. So we just discuss topics and then set challenges and have a nice time. It's a very cozy show, I think.
yeah, yeah, and I think it's one where writers may use it. I mean, you've talked about writing being a solitary game. It might be
Yeah,
something nice to, in a break from writing, have a listen to an episode. We don't, as Emily said, we don't profess to give definitive advice.
no,
How dare we do that? But we just talk around topics, and so some of the topics that we've discussed have been world building. Was one. We've in the upcoming series we're talking about conflict and animosity between characters. We've talked about narratives, chronologies in fiction. So a linear narrative versus a fractured narrative, and
yeah,
and and so each, as you say, each episode picks a different topic, and we just talk about it for
We just talk about it. Yeah.
35 minutes, 40 minutes, and
Yeah.
it's fun. So, and
Get a cup of tea, tune in.
yes,
Yeah.
we've also had a couple of guests, haven't we? And some quite fun and lovely guests as well. And if you're
Yeah.
in the world of fantasy and sci-fi, you would recognise a couple of these names. So who have we had, Emily?
We've had Gareth Powell. We have had Rhianna Pratchett.
The wonderful
Absolute
Rhianna Pratchett.
Pleasure talking to her about her experiences in the gaming industry. Wonderful.
And all the things she
Obviously
sort of learnt from her dad,
from her
Terry
dad,
Pratchett,
yeah. And
that legacy, and she's kind of carried on writing in the disc world, hasn't she?
yeah,
So
she's an amazing person, and yeah, really fun to have and really great for a chat.
and then
And
we
obviously
had Nigel Planer as
Nigel
well,
Planer. Yeah, yeah. Nigel
who
Planer was an
people of a
absolute
certain
pleasure.
age will remember as Neil from The Young Ones here on
Yeah.
UK TV. Also a poet and writer, so it's good to have a chat with him as well, wasn't it?
Yep. I'm just pausing because Danny was just walking down the stairs while you were talking.
Okay.
So, yeah.
This is the problem
Yes,
when you have an
and
understairs recording booth. But yeah, so the Writers' Gym. I think the new series will be coming out mid-October. But what we'll do, we'll put a link. Well, you can find it by just going to your favourite podcast app and searching for the Writers' Gym.
Yeah.
You'll find it there, and but we will put a link in the show notes as well so that you can find it.
Yep.
And I think we record. How many episodes did we record? Because it was a couple of weeks ago. We were down in London at Rachel's house recording them, weren't we? And we did 8 or 9.
Yeah, it was 8 or 9 in a single sitting. So
Yeah,
it was quite intense. My brain was pretty fried by the end of it because if you like sounding like you know what you're talking about is quite hard work. Doing it on 9 different topics, in
back to
recorded
back,
over and over again,
with
back to
only a
back.
cup of tea in between.
Exactly, a cup of tea and a tonics is really hard work. So yeah, by the end of that, by like Friday afternoon when I got home, I just sort of lay there in semi shock.
Stared at the ceiling.
Yeah, 1,000 yard stare. But yeah, it's really really fun because then we get into the swing of it and we're just sitting there on the sofa chatting really, and it's a good time.
Yeah. You mentioned tonics there. I mean, we should say other caramel wafers are available, but tonics caramel wafers are. We won't go into this in any detail, but they are a very very integral part of our recording experience, aren't they?
Absolutely, yes, they are very important. Cannot record without Tunnock's caramel wafers.
Really, and these are the little things you don't think about in the studio. The last thing you want, because the microphones are so sensitive, is an actor with a rumbly tummy. So you've got to have little snacks and feed them. And what better than Tunnock's caramel wafers? So
yep,
yes,
no complaints so far.
No complaints so far. Now, Emily, we just before we wrap this up, one of the other things that you do with all this kind of wisdom and knowledge that you've kind of gathered and that we've discussed is that you teach, yes, and you do workshops as well, don't you?
Yes, yeah, I do. Yes,
and so
I do impart knowledge. Yes,
impart knowledge. So we've got a season of workshops coming up. So
yep.
Alternative Stories run workshops. So we do some of them together, some of them just me, some of them just you. Topics like we can take you. We have an introduction to writing for audio drama, which is exactly what it says on the tin, and it's just a whistle-stop tour of the world of writing for audio drama. And you'll hear from
yes, indeed.
You'll hear bits from some of our dramas behind the scenes. You'll hear from an actor. And you'll hear from both of us. But then we get into a bit more detail, don't we? So we've got you then go into page to production, don't you? Taking the script into the studio, which is more you than me, I think. On that, I mean, I think we're both there, but it's a lot of you, isn't
Definitely a joint effort on that one. I think we've got some new ones coming up as well because
tell us about those.
We've got so one of the ones that I'm going to be doing is branding and marketing. And my career as a copywriter has always been in marketing teams. So I'm going to be talking about, as soon as Danny's gone up the stairs. Yep. So I'm going to be talking about how you get your online space, how you sort of carve out your particular niche
Mm.
or the niche of your product online, and then how you build marketing on top of that, because brand is the bedrock upon which you do your marketing.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the brand underpinning the marketing campaigns that you do, it's not going to be half as effective. So working out exactly how to present that, how to build that from the ground up, foundations, then house on top.
Yeah.
So that's going to be one of the new ones, which I
And,
think could be
and
very
and that
interesting for
and that's
people.
very specifically aimed at writers and maybe small independent publishers, people
Yeah.
who maybe don't have much of a social media presence, don't know about social media, don't know about how
Or
to brand and market themselves, and just need that bit of help.
maybe like, yeah, especially if you've got a product. So I mean, I know there are people out there who have a website as a author, but then they have a audio drama, for instance, and they just put the audio drama on an author page. But then, of course, when people Google the audio drama, that doesn't come up. It doesn't
Yeah,
show up
yeah,
because the URL is all author page focused.
yes.
So nobody can find the audio drama. Nobody
Mm.
can find or the book, because it's not linked in the same way. So you've got to think about how people are going to find you online and give everybody the directions they need to get to you and make you as discoverable as possible. Because generally speaking, when somebody looks at a marketing campaign, they might not click on the link, but they'll Google it to
Yeah,
find
yeah.
out about it. If they then Google it and can't find it, then that's them gone. They've
Mm.
fallen off.
No,
You've
absolutely.
lost their interest. So a marketing strategy, a marketing campaign not underpinned by good branding and online presence is going to be, you're just losing so much.
Mm.
Um,
Well,
yeah.
and I will say Emily is a great person to talk you through that process. Other sessions, we've got one about monologues. We have
Yeah.
sessions about voice acting. We've got one about recording and podcasting, the very basics of those things aimed at writers. So if you want to sort of record some of your own work, put it out as a
Yep.
podcast, we can take you through all of that. Lots of different stuff, but you also offer one-to-one, don't you? One-to-one coaching, editing of scripts for first-time writers or even more
Yeah.
advanced writers.
I
So
yeah, I when it comes to translating sort of when it comes to translating scripts from visual to audio, or like helping writers move from prose to audio, I know a lot of tricks when it comes to going into the studio, when it comes to what can be achieved in an audio context and what can be brought across from visual. It can be surprising for people who, when they're writing for screen, will think that something is entirely visual and must be lost if it goes
yes.
to audio. Not necessarily the case. The kind of things that you can put in the soundscape that will keep those visuals going, but just in the mind of the listener.
Mm.
Things like that I have learned over the years that I have worked with writers and helped them to sort of see those things and help them to weave those things into their work. So yeah,
Yeah.
you can book me for a chat and I will give you all of the information in my brain.
And you do it on over an ongoing period as well if people need, so you can talk to them about a topic, get them to do a bit of work, you then
Mm-hmm.
review it and come back to them, and do that over a few weeks as a sort of coaching and mentoring type arrangement if that's what people want.
Yeah, yeah,
and
definitely. Yeah,
and so
yep.
and people would find you through your
My
website,
website. Yes. Yep.
which
Yep.
is emilyinkpen.com, as it
Yes.
absolutely should be. And
Yeah,
you're
and I've got
also,
a contact page there, so if you just drop me a line on the contact form, I will
yeah,
get back to you. Yeah, we can
yeah,
talk about
indeed.
that.
And you're also all over social media, aren't you?
I am everywhere. You just see, this is the branding thing.
Ubiquitous.
Just Google Emily Inkpen, and I will be right there wherever you want me. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, and of course, so I keep saying this, but we'll put those links in the show
Hmm.
notes as well. So
Yep.
Emily, I mean, it's been a whistle stop tour through stuff that's going on in your life and your world at the moment.
Yep.
Um, Thank you so much for being with us today on Alternative Stories,
Thank you for
and
having me.
yeah, really, really looking forward to hearing all of these things that are going on in your world.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. Yes, and donate to the Kickstarter.
Donate to the
Pledge.
Kickstarter,
Help
and
us.
I just want to just end on one thing, which would probably be very good for people who are watching this on video, but not so good if you're listening on the podcast. Merch, I mean Dex Legacy merch. Can you just talk us through what you're wearing at the moment?
Oh, I'm currently wearing a jumper that says "Osa made me a killing machine."
So Osa being a
And
character in the Dex
Osa
Legacy,
being a
yeah,
character
yeah.
in the Dex Legacy. It's a bit of an in joke. These ones that I designed. So yes, there is merch available. I'm actually moving shop at the moment, but there is a link to the merch store. So yeah, check it out. And
And one of the rewards in the Kickstarter will be, as it was last time, will be exclusive merch for just for that Kickstarter.
yes, it's
Um,
limited edition. For season three,
Limited
it's Dex
edition.
Laboratories.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. So anyway, so Emily Inkpen, thank you so much, and best of luck with all of these projects.
Thank you very much.